Well, welcome back to Northern Maine Productions. Tonight, I'm going to do something a little different here. We're a few weeks into the Christmas lighting season for 2024, and probably there are some of you, but probably not many people that are still using vintage C6 lights. Maybe some of you are new collectors, have just recently acquired these, and you can't get them to work. Um, I'm going to see if I can give you a few pointers on these and show you a few little tricks with these. Now, obviously, these ones have got bulbs in them, and obviously they do work. This set is plugged in, but I've disabled it so that I can do this. But lots of times people will get a string of lights, and then they have this random collection of light bulbs like I have here, and they'll relamp an entire string of lights with old used light bulbs. The majority of C6 bulbs you find now are used. They haven't been made for about 50 years. This year, I believe, marks 50 years that they've been off the market. So the majority of these bulbs you find are going to be used. This was the last pack that these were available in. There were several others. Sadly, I do have some of the old packs, but they're packed away upstairs. I haven't had them out in quite a while, but so anyways, we're gonna make believe this is 1973, and we're gonna make believe that this set of lights has quit working. The easiest way that I found to do this is if you have a set that is actually verified and working. We have a set there. So we know that all 8 of those bulbs are good. There's a couple of different ways you can attack this. You can take a bulb out of this string, and you can test each individual bulb out of this string here to see if this set lights up. Okay, that's fairly easy to do. Or there's a pretty good chance, there's a 99% chance that there's only one bulb burned out in that string of lights, because these lights do not have shunting devices in them to keep them lit when they burn out. And if even one bulb burns out, the whole string goes out, because the circuit in these is arranged in a loop, and each bulb is part of the circuit, as opposed to a string of lights like this. These ones are parallel. These bulbs are all independent from each other. Those bulbs are 120 volt bulbs. These bulbs are 15 volts each. It takes 8 bulbs times 15 equals 120. So I guess for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm going to put this white bulb back in this string and light it up, and I'm going to use this. Actually, I think I will use I'll use a white bulb just so that it stands out. Okay, so the first thing you do, verify that all the bulbs are actually tight in the socket. Grab a hold of the socket and turn each individual bulb and make sure it's fully seated. You ain't got to just crank on them, but you got to make sure that they're firmly seated or they won't make contact. So I'm going to start here. Well, that one's quite tight actually. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to put this white bulb in here. Nothing happened. So I'm going to set this socket down, and we're just going to keep swapping these bulbs forward in the string. Still nothing. And we're going to forward them again. Look, that bulb I just took out was an old Japanese imported bulb. So we still got nothing. So we're going to get in here. You haven't got to worry so much about dropping these C6 light bulbs like you do the bigger bulbs, because these little babies are pretty tough. We still have nothing, so we're gonna, once again, we just take one bulb out, put the other one in, and we still got nothing. Still got nothing. No, I just saw a flash. Honest to goodness, I saw a flash. Yes, sir. So, what's going on here? You know, it's very possible that this string light's got a broken wire in it. Because I'm not really doing anything here that is... Oh man, this is so aggravating. Alright, so I'm just going to throw this set aside and get another set that works. Huh. Man, that's so aggravating. I don't really know what world is going on here, but this is, seems like when I'm flexing the wires around is when the set lights up. Yeah, maybe right there. What's going on here, guys? I'd say probably that's something. Or, I'll tell you something else that happens. Sometimes the little point on the bulb gets worn down. Which is exactly what's going on right there. Jump. So, as you can tell, the green bulbs did work. That end of that bulb is so blunt. It's been screwed in and out of a socket so many times that the end of that bulb is so blunt that it's not making contact very well with that center part of that socket, which is another issue you sometimes run into. Now look, let's see if you could. Evidently that center contact must be a little bit loose. So let's try a different bulb in there. Just for the, yeah, see that one. That one for the most part is working. Base is a little bit loose on that bulb. Yep. These bulbs are pretty old. Now that right there tells me that the wire connections aren't broken. What's happening is even the center contact in that socket down at the bottom of them is worn some. And we just got a little cardboard disc in the bottom of the socket with that terminal. Probably used a machine and pressed it in there, and what's happened is either that's worn some or it's pushed part way out of the little cardboard insert, but it doesn't really appear that it is. But so yeah, that's some of the problems you'll run into with these things. Yeah. Sometimes it is important that that little point, that little contact on the base of that bulb be usually more pointy and rounded as opposed to being blunt and flattened right off like it is on this white bulb. You can kind of see the difference in them. That point on that white bulb, and a lot of times what happens when that point gets flattened down like that, the bulb will actually bottom on the socket shell instead of seating in there. That doesn't really appear to be the case here, but it's just a fact that bulb just can't make a contact there. Now that's funny, it was working pretty well in this set. This set works fine, but yeah. So that's pretty much you know, say like, I'll tell you another thing with these too that I don't like to do, and you're watching me do it right here. Typical, that set of lights got a loose bulb. These things are really, really irritating when you try it. Yeah, it doesn't take anything for the bulbs to loosen up. So, one of the things that I try to avoid doing here, this bulb here is a General Electric bulb on the right. This one here is an imported Japanese light bulb. And I don't know if you can tell the difference on the camera, but this Japanese light bulb is, even though these sets are dimmed, it's substantially brighter than this one is. And that is because the resistance is different between this bulb and this one. And I'm not 100% sure. This Japanese light bulb may be a 16 volt bulb. A lot of times they were. I can't read it. It's too fine. But see, even like when I screw that in, you'll notice that bulb lights up before. So what happens like that is when you crank the voltage all the way up, that little Japanese bulb is absorbing a great deal more voltage than these other ones are. It's kind of like an impedance mismatch. Because these are in series, and so I typically, what I'll do is I typically like to see all of one style or the other in one string of lights. I typically like to see all Japan light bulbs or all GE or Westinghouse bulbs. GE and Westinghouse are identical. They are perfectly interchangeable and they will operate perfectly together. And I'll tell you another thing you should never ever do if you have those old balloon shaped carbon filament light bulbs. Do not use them with these bulbs. They won't work. They'll act just like a shunt, and they'll put way more power to these bulbs than they were designed to handle. So I'm gonna see how this acts. Like I have another General Electric bulb here. I want to see how well this one matches up with these other ones. This may actually be a new bulb. There's no And it came out of that pack pretty hard. So yeah, those are more evenly matched now. GE was good about, GE was very good about keeping things matched up, even decades after they were made. You know, there's probably, in this bulb here, that's an old GE block logo, there could be as much as 20 years difference in this bulb and this one. This one's one of the later style ones here, and this is an earlier one. And the brightness is perfectly matched. The coloring is quite a lot different, but so yeah. And another thing that will happen to these sometimes, if you get desperate and you can't figure out which one's lit up, or you don't have spare bulbs, sometimes you can just take your string lights, plug them in, ensure all the bulbs are tight, give them a tap with your finger like that. So a lot of times that little tiny filament in there will sometimes be broken, and a lot of times just giving them a tap like that, they'll reconnect. It'll flash and they'll reconnect, and a lot of times they'll run for a few more hours, or until you shut them off and cool them off again. But that's another, you know, I've done that before when I was desperate. You know, like when I didn't have any spare bulbs. But I've got lots of spare bulbs here. If you guys want me to do a video of testing these bulbs in one of these strings, write it in the comments. I could probably arrange to do that. I'm not going to do it right now because I've already wasted too much time on this video already. But I hope you enjoyed watching me get frustrated here. Luckily, I guess I figured the issue out. I can't, this string of lights is fine. I can't imagine the wires are broke, but sometimes you gotta select the right bulb for the right socket. Sometimes you have to actually take your bulbs out and get your eyeballs down in there and look things over and try to draw a conclusion. Will that bulb make contact in there? So that's what I just did. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed. Have a great evening. Bye bye.